My co-panelists for being here on an early Friday. I promise to wrap up quickly. And we have this stellar panel. So we'll do a couple of questions earlier, and after that I'll throw it open to the audience. So have your questions ready. Also, if we are not able to take the questions, you can just write it down and give it to us, and we promise we'll ask our panelists and get back to you with answers. I'll begin with Mr. Rajesh Kumar Singh, Defence Secretary. Sir, India's brought its import dependence down from almost 70% to around 35 to 40%. What are the next big steps needed to reach full self-reliance by 2030?
Thank you for the questions, Mehta. I think a lot of this import dependence now increasingly relates to our legacy systems. Prospectively, you'll find that in the last financial year, for example, we spend almost 86% of our budget within the country. So obviously that shift is going to take some time, given that we do also have a tendency to, not replace our equipment that quickly. We we ensure that often we take it beyond its service life simply because of the shortage of resources. But the fact remains that if you see prospectively what we're doing, I mentioned the fact that we have a normative target now that not more than 75%, not less than 75% will be spent domestically every year. We are exceeding that target. Last year we did about 2 lakh crores of contract signings. Again, bulk of it within the country. So over a period of time, you are going to see a decreasing dependence. It will never go away altogether, even if you master some of the critical technologies, the way we have gaps like jet engines, for example. There will be areas where it is simply infeasible to try to be self-sufficient. So you'll have to, rely on some supply chains outside, hopefully in more trusted geographies and not in the ones that are adversarial to us. But over time, you will see the shift, and hopefully the majority of our equipment will be Indian in the next 10 years or so.
So a related question before I go to the other panelists. The government is aiming for 3 lakh crores, I believe, in defense manufacturing and 50,000 crores in exports. There's an innovation that the US began way back, I think in 1999 or something. It was called InQtel. It's a CIA venture capital fund to bridge cutting-edge private sector innovation with national security needs. Isn't it time that India created similar strategic venture funds to fast-track defense technologies?
Yeah, maybe. The fact is that India has a fairly robust venture capital ecosystem already, and many of them are investing in many of our defense startups. So I don't think it is particularly necessary for government to set up a venture capital fund. There is enough funding increasingly available for startups that can show promising technologies and prototypes. The way the government can support defense is through what I mentioned earlier, which is ensuring that we spend the budgets that we have, which we've started doing now, do as many contracts within the country as we can, identifying promising firms. And as you see that happening, the defense sector, ultimately the funding for a defense startup or a defense MSME really depends on its order book. And if we are giving them orders, then they will not have a difficulty with funding. Whether we also create a niche venture capital fund as a sovereign fund for defense sector, maybe we can think about it. But for the most part, my view is that the combination of orders and quick contract signings and procurement is more than enough to attract capital into this sector.
I'll go to Air Marshal Ashutosh Dixit. Of course, the questions will be regarding Operation Sindoor, but integrated theatre commands, now that's the buzzword everybody's talking about post-Sindoor. I shouldn't say post-Sindoor because we're still in the state of Sindoor. How will this change the way the three services operate and fight? and how will the Indian Air Force capabilities be utilized in a united theatre front, in a theatre-based war scenario?
So, ma'am, first, thank you for the question. First of all, we have to understand why we are saying theaterization is the new thing which we have to do, and it is going to be the most important defense reform which we are looking at. You see, we are doing jointness, integration, and now we are leading into theaterization. So what we want to achieve is, we want to achieve segregation between force development and force application. So force development will become responsibility of service headquarters, and force application will become responsibility of theatre commander. Now, why this is required is, the warfare has become in multiple domains and multiple fronts, and you have to have the capability of each service or each vector simultaneously and in a planned manner. It needs to be applied together. So if you think that long time back only Army was there, then Navy appeared, then Air Force appeared, and now cognitive warfare is there, cyber, space. So all this has to be coalesced together, and that only can be done in a theatre concept. And the entire world has changed, and we are also slowly changing towards that. Now, individual component, like Indian Air Force will be one operation operating in one domain. So the roles and missions which Indian Air Force has been doing, they will continue to do that, but they will be much better integrated with land, with Navy, and maybe with cyber. And so the effect of each, let's say, strike or each mission will be multifold. This is what we want to achieve.
Sir, I want to ask you, like most recently people remember that Sindoor was fought in a joint manner. We saw the pictures of the CDS and the three services chiefs sitting together in an ops room and looking at the battlefield through satellite and other means. How will, once the theatre commands come in, sir, will it be a picture similar to what we saw in Sindoor, or it would be much more than what we saw during these operations?
Yeah, so it was just a glimpse, maybe a precursor or a preview of what is likely to come in theatre command. See, the thing is that so it will be a theatre ops room on theatre where all the information is coming and the theatre commander is able to take a decision. So for that we have to have communication which is fail-safe and very fast and among all services. All sensor information, some information and decision support systems. So all these things are being planned and come in. But in Sindoor what you saw was just a glimpse, and it was possible because we have been working on this integration and jointness initiatives for last at least 4 or 5 years.
So connected to this is that we keep hearing that the future wars are going to be asymmetric wars. If these are, explain this term to us, and if they are asymmetric wars, this theatre front that you're talking about, the new theatres, how are they combat ready for this unknown element which comes in from this?
So this asymmetry, you see, how do you win war? To win any war, you have to create asymmetry. If you look at all the previous wars which have happened, wherever we have been able to create asymmetry, we have been able to win that war. If you look back at 71, we did Tangel drop, which created tremendous amount of asymmetry at that point in time. So asymmetry creation is now where to create this asymmetry. So the domains which are already existing and they have become strong, like land or sea, there the capability has grown over the years. So we are almost somewhere there. We are matched actually. Everybody is matched with everybody else. So it is newer domains which are emerging where asymmetry can be created. One. Second, by integration of, so the way we are able to integrate, say, land with the Air Force or Air Force with cyber, that is how we will create asymmetry. If we are able to create asymmetry earlier than the adversary, we'll win.
Right. I'm going to go in to talk about Tejas. It's something that has got everybody worried, and especially when we talk about Atmanirbharta, we're talking about that. My question to Mr. D.K. Sunil, he's the chairman and managing director of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. So the US saw 174 air crashes, but India's had 2 Tejas crashes in 24 years. What would you have to say about the doubts about Tejas? And also related question is that after the crash in Dubai, it's dealt a blow. Many news channels say that the fighter jet ambitions of India have got a setback, and its ambitions need to be restructured. There's concern about our shrinking squadrons. So I'm sure the students out here also would like to know that where are we now after the Tejas crash?
Good morning and thank you. At the outset, let me tell you that there's absolutely no problem with the Tejas. Let me declare it from this forum. There is no problem with the Tejas. It's a wonderful aircraft and it is absolutely safe, and its safety record is the best in the world. We've had a couple of them, and what you saw in Dubai was an unfortunate incident. I think as countries evolve and develop their own technologies, they go through phases. And today we've made this 4.5 generation aircraft with the latest capability. It's a resounding success, and we should all be proud of it. So I think there will always be naysayers who are talking about this and raising questions, but it will not deter us from going from strength to strength. So I can assure you that it's an absolutely safe aircraft, and there is no question that it will have any impact on the future of Tejas. We have an order for 180, and I'm sure it will go up, and we will definitely even have an export market for this. So I think this comes up every time there is some indigenous product, and there are bound to be some failures or problems. But
let me interrupt you. Why does it come up when there's an indigenous? Are you suggesting that there is a conspiracy? Is that why there is a question raised on indigenous products?
No, I don't. I would not say conspiracy. It's perhaps social media is quite prevalent today, and everybody has an opinion. And I would also go so far as say that everybody considers himself an expert also. So I suppose that's part of the world today. So it's perhaps that element of self-doubt that can we do it, can we do it? I think we have done it. We have demonstrated that we can do it, and we'll go from strength to strength from here. We've built the HTT-40 ground up trainer. We've built all these helicopters, which are all flying all over the country. We've built the Prachand. So where is the question that the capability is not there, or there is self-doubt? So I think there is no self-doubt in the armed forces or the industry. It's perhaps in the public, but there's no doubt that we can do it and we have the capability.
So the question that many wonder is that why are we talking about export when we have our domestic needs? It's a very basic question. Why are we so hung up on exports?
See, it is a policy of the government of India that we should become global. So when you have to global, you will have to go abroad. I think we are building the capability, showcasing it, right? And the exports is an outcome of the outreach of the government of India as well as the company. So as we build our capacities, definitely there will be a market outside. So I think it's a logical extension of the capacity that we are building.
I'll throw the question. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, I would like to ask the Defense Secretary and Ramchandani sir, Sir, we have been talking about Make in India. It's been 11 years now since the government of India, the Modi government decided on, came out with this Make in India in defense policy. It has now changed into Atmanirbharta. Sir, you have been in the government for a long time, and Arun sir, you have been in the industry for a long time. Can you tell us what are the major changes that you have seen with this policy coming in, and how has the dealing with industry, and for you sir, how has been the dealing with the ministry and the government changed in these 11 years?
Yeah, so I've been dealing with industry even before I came to defense. So, and I see the defense industry as an extension of the broader industry that we have, given the fact that there are dual-use technologies. Often even the companies are common. Many of our companies are conglomerates who've also diversified into defense. You raised the question about whether how the role of the public versus private sector has changed. I think, the numbers speak for themselves. The fact is that out of our total value of domestic sales, the share of the private sector used to be as low as about 10 or 11%, and now it is closer to about 23%, if I remember correctly. And the public sector is about, the balance. Interestingly, when it comes to exports, the opposite is true. The 60% of our exports come from the private sector and only about 40% from the public sector. Although the growth rate of the public sector in the last few years has been very significant, primarily because of MIL getting a lot of export orders for artillery shells and things like that. So yeah, the much abused or used term level playing field, you can see that happening. The field is getting leveled in terms of our tendering processes, in terms of weeding out policies that involve nominations, weeding out product reservations which involved giving orders only to the public sector. In ammunitions, we've removed that reservation issue, so we expect a lot of Indian and foreign companies, one of whose representative is sitting here, to set up ammunition plants within the country, because ultimately you don't only need platforms. Probably weapons are even more critical these days, particularly standoff weapons, as Operation Sindoor showed us. And those are the areas where the more we diversify our industrial base, the more we create surge capacity, the more technologically proficient and industrially diverse we are with surge capacity, the better the chances of sustaining and ultimately winning both short and long duration conflicts is there.
So Ajit, let me try to answer your question by recounting my journey of 40 years in the industry, because I think that gives a snapshot from where we began to where we are today. When we started, I started my career as a young design engineer in a private sector industry. And we were very lucky to get associated with the IGMDP program that Dr. Kalam ran. And we worked with DRDO, we supported them. In a sense, Dr. Kalam was a visionary who felt that he had to integrate, private capability into building India's missiles. And that's how we learnt our ropes and got into the industry. But we were somewhere in the corner of the industry doing our own thing and feeling proud that we are serving the nation. Cut to 2001, when the defense sector opened up, so to say, for the private sector, and it was a licensed sector. And we had to, obtain licenses for, participating in the sector and selling to the MOD. And we kind of applied for every conceivable license because we said, things are opening up, and a lot of people did that. And the initial years post that, of course, evolving from development, DRDO-oriented operation to trying to sell directly and to bring our own products into the market, was a tough job because the incumbents were already there. You had all the HALs and the BLs who made everything, and the ordnance factories that made everything in the country. And, we had to kind of coattail that and see how we find a place for ourselves. Cut to about 2015, where the whole thrust changed to Make in India and to creating this level playing field, allowing us to directly participate, bringing in the concept of Indian design, developed and manufactured as the key thrust for procurement. And all of this has changed, and today we run a sizable defense business, which of course it's still a single customer market. Things don't happen at the speed of light and at the speed at which things happen in the commercial world, but things are changing, and we feel quite confident that this will be a growing sector and industry.
Just to interrupt, in case our audience didn't know, Mr. Ramchandani, Senior VP and Head of L&T Precision Engineering Systems. So, as you spoke, sir, that you have 40 years experience, and the Defence Secretary also spoke about, how the steps that are being taken by the Government of India to decrease the monopoly of PSUs, or maybe better use of the term would be diversification. A related question to that is that there are many private firms which still rely on imported raw materials. High tech is not easily available. The components are not easily available. The electronic systems are not easily available. And then you have, change of regimes in countries which may not be favorable towards allowing exports to India. So this robust domestic supply chain, which is non-existent or just in its nascent stage, how far will that delay our Atmanirbharta program?
So you're right. To build a strong defense industrial base requires a large ecosystem, and it's evident that India has a long way to go in developing that ecosystem. I would say we should adopt a two-pronged strategy. One is that keep encouraging people to get into deep tech, to build products, to build the ecosystem base. Like today we are, there's the whole semiconductor mission, which is encouraging people to set up semiconductor fabs in India, to do set up fabless companies in India, to create IPs. Now you have to encourage that, and because that ecosystem is not easy to build, because end of the day, defense has very specific products, and the volumes may not justify commercial scales. So probably there the government has to step in, and they are stepping in to create the enablement for that ecosystem to be built in the country. That said, we can't take a very hard stand that we are going to island ourselves and do everything ourselves. We have to permit where it is going to take us some time to build that ecosystem, to permit partnerships, to permit people to co-develop products together, to co-produce products together. And I think this kind of dual-pronged strategy will work well. What is happening that in the past, our relationship with foreign suppliers was more of licensing of technology, and I would say that's it's a kind of a crutch. You just are dependent on doing something under license to a limited extent, and we need to evolve out of that and look at co-developing, co-producing products with foreign partners.
Sir, on this aspect only, I would like to ask Marshal Dixit sir, and then also a reaction from Sunil sir. Sir, about 10-11 years ago, for the Air Force to meet most of its aerospace requirements domestically, HAL was the only option, or majorly the Air Force would depend upon HAL. Now you are getting more and more options, even in the private sector, more players are coming in. Now, how has Make in India, for you as a user, I'm talking about the Air Force and all three services, changed things for you, how the forces did their business, and how has HAL been affected, sir, by this? Because we remember those nomination days where you would get nominated for projects. Now you have to compete with private sector for projects. How has the situation changed for you in the last 11 years, sir?
So to start with, HAL has been serving Indian Air Force for last about 60 years. It was in Kanpur earlier, then shifted to Bangalore. They made close to about 800 plus MiG-21s and large number of MiG-23s and MiG-27s. They made 280, close to 280 Su-30s, their engines. So Air Force and HAL has been very closely related for very long time. So during the time we realized that the capacity of HAL is now full. They cannot grow any further. Otherwise it will become too big a company. So that time government took a decision to change the model and this bring out Buy Global Make in India model, where under that we did that C295 case, and that case has gone to private sector. So the first aircraft out of that is supposed to come out next year, September, October, that period. And only after that we will be able to truly assess, because HAL I am seeing for last 60 years, but this model, though we have got the aircraft initially, which are working fine, but they are direct supply aircraft. The Make in India aircraft will come to us after some time. So at platform level, we had no option other than HAL, and HAL has served us well, though in fits and start, but they have served us well, and we have full faith in them, because full LCA order is there, LCH order we have given it to them, and now they are also participating in tender of 2-3 other big cases as a DPSU. So hopefully the situation will improve further.
Would you like to?
Yeah. Just to take off from where Mr. Ramchandani said, we also started with licensed production, and as we've evolved, we realized that R&D has to become the focus. So since the 80s, we have invested thousands of crores in building the LCA, the Tejas, the Prachand, the Dhruv, the HDT-40s. So if you look at today HAL's products, all the products are designed within the country, either the LCA in collaboration with ADA, and helicopters by HAL and other partners, the HDT-40 by us. So I think this is an evolution every industry will have to take that path, that you start off at a licensed manufacturing level, and as you evolve, you invest more and more in R&D. And then today what you see, the range of products that we have, it's about 40 years of R&D investment. So it looks like we make a Prachand today or a ALH or a HDT-40. It's 40 years. HAL is an 85-year-old company. We built our first aircraft in the 50s. We did the Marutis, the 70s. In more post A1980, I think we have put more money into R&D. So I think this is the transformation that has happened within HAL. And to take your point, now that the government also has liberalized and made it a level playing field, and the DAP clearly puts IDDM as the first preferred option. And we get into it because we have invested and built this product. So we get Prachand because it's a fully IDDM product, right? So I think this is the way forward that we have to compete. Every industry will have to do to progress the Atmanirbharta. So today R&D has become the central to the whole organization. It was earlier manufacturing, today R&D is central, and we are investing over the next decade, we would be putting in more than 18,000 crores into our R&D in products. We spend 8 to 9% of our revenue on R&D, which is on par with any other company in the world. So the government has done two things. One is they've liberalized, made it a level playing field, removed the nomination. But at the same time, they've said IDDM is the number one. I think that is the biggest game changer. That if you put in money, build your products, design your products and build it, then you're preferred. So I think that is the transformation that we have done. And we obviously have that kind of order book, what Air Marshal Dixit spoke about. So I think every industry, whichever sector of this defense that we talk about, I think it will have to transition from license manufacture to
Sir,
own design.
If you can tell us what is the order book worth, sir?
I can tell you.
Yeah, today the order book is upwards of 2 lakh crores. And you will see that every single product is homegrown, right? Whatever we are going to make, except the 15 Su-30s, which is an order, the balance orders are the Prachand, the Tejas, the HTT-40s, the UHM, which is under development, will come out, which is a utility helicopter maritime. We also have a civil version of Dhruv, which is under certification. Next year, we will have the Dhruvs also in place. So I think these are all coming out of our own design products.
So you have a high purchase order. Now we want to see the delivery, right? We as journalists are constantly told talk truths to power and things. And it was a candid moment to hear CDS, who said, be truthful, patriotic, and deliver on time. So he warned against these exaggerated claims on indigenization and delayed product delivery. So obviously now that I have both of you, HAL as well as L&T, I'm going to ask you about that. But before that, I'll ask the Defense Secretary. Sir, could you tell us about how delayed orders, delayed supply, how is that impacting on our national security? And related question, I'm sorry I'm going topic by topic, jaldi, then I'll hand over to Ajit. On the Kaveri engine project, the stalled project, when can we expect the indigenous aero engine with homegrown technology, part of Atmanirbhar?
So let me talk about the engine first, since that is something that even the Prime Minister mentioned in his Independence Day address. We are in the process of finalizing a program with a leading international engine house to co-develop 120 kN jet engine entirely domestically produced with full IPR to be held in India. That is hopefully going to go to the top levels in government soon. It's a DRDO proposal, but of course we are all part of that exercise. So that will happen, but that will take about 10-12 years to, about 8 years to prototypes and another few years thereafter for certification, etc. So that process is underway through the through the various government processes, given the huge amounts involved. On Kaveri, I think the decision that DRDO has made is that since they've not been able to achieve the requisite thrust to weight ratio, they will use it for their UCAV program. Hopefully that will enable them to license that technology to private sector partners who participate in some of our UCAV tenders, one of which is out right now, which is for the male category drones. A mind-boggling number of 24 Indian companies with various partners have bid for that tender. I cannot believe, frankly, that all of them have that kind of capacity to make full-fledged aircraft, albeit unmanned within the country. But yes, there is a very robust response, and we hope that we'll get very credible, at least two companies or two consortia building those 87 male category drones in India, and thereby creating this larger ecosystem of sophisticated drones. Have I answered all your questions? Was there something else?
What the CDS spoke.
Oh yeah, the delay part. Yeah, so I don't want to. When I talk to HAL. I will obviously, go after them about the delays, but in a more sort of open forum, let me say that the delays are not only by domestic manufacturers. You've seen the S-400s getting delayed because of the conflicts. Israel orders, also many of them are delayed because of the conflicts that they are facing. There are supply chain issues which have affected them in the context of the General Electric engines that they've been having to wait for. So yes, all of it is not solely attributable to our indigenous manufacturers, but yes, I mean, there is a tendency to overpromise and underdeliver, and we will need to start cracking down much more, apply LD clauses much more, and in the current round of emergency purchases that we are doing, we've actually taken a very tough stand that any case where delivery is not done within 1 year will all be foreclosed, and I intend to sort of ensure that that is done. So irrespective of who it is, which company, which country, we will foreclose every contract after 1 year. Hopefully those kind of decisions will start bringing in some level of accountability when it comes to delivery milestones.
Marshal, I would like to ask you about this 5th generation fighter jet program today. Where do we stand, and why is India cautious about buying, say, the F-35s or the Su-57s?
So, to start with, we have been tinkering with 5th generation program for a very long time. I think since about 2014, Air Force has been making the PSQRs and requirements in consultation with DRDO. And last year, government had sanctioned the development of advanced medium combat aircraft, which is 5th generation aircraft with 6th generation technologies. On request of DRDO, actually, they said they cannot directly reach, so in between LCA Mark II project was also sanctioned along with it, so that the technologies could be matured on LCA Mark II platform. Like Defense Secretary Sir said, engine is the important thing, and that government is going to take a decision. Now, your question relates to the gap which is there from now to delivery of 5th generation capability. There is some gap there. 8 or 9 or 10 years gap will be there. So to fill that gap, yes, we are thinking only right now how that gap can be filled. So that there are various options.
So what are the top? So what are the top 2 or 3 priorities that you have?
Means I cannot list the platform that we are still working out, but yes, certainly 5th generation capability, long range air-to-air missile, these kind of we have a list. We have a list which, when my turn comes to say that, I will say that. But as far as 5th generation is coming, we are considering. That is for sure. But what we are not ready to open out as yet.
And about the anxiety that people have about depleted squadrons?
Yeah, depleted squadron anxiety is there. It is there with us also. So we are trying to utilize the resources in the best possible manner. That is, we have now more simulators, so we are trying to reserve the flying hours. We are trying to train more number of people so that number of sortie generation. We have increased the sortie generation rate also. Means each aircraft will be used for 6 sorties in 1 day. These kind of things we are doing so that the amount of air effort required for a medium duration war we should be able to cater.
Does that impact on our combat capability at all?
That is what I'm saying. We are trying to move around that, rather work around that to ensure that the combat capability doesn't falter in any way. That is what.
DevSec sir, I would like to ask you, you have been associated with many of the studies and project reports where you have done a capability assessment and recommended a lot of projects for the services to be taken up. 5th generation fighter was one of those when you did a assessment report for the Indian Air Force. Can you tell us about the status of the AMCO program, because you have been associated with it, sir, and I think it would be one of the biggest Make in India programs that we would be seeing in future. And what are the other major programs that we can see in next, say, 2 to 3 years, which would be coming to the industry?
Okay, so taking off from where Marshal Dixit left, the AMCA is our 5th generation fighter program actually. There could be a requirement for some stopgap arrangements among the options that you mentioned. Those options are not ruled out, but as of now we are not in a position to reveal which way we will exercise those options. AMCA, the response is very, very robust. HAL is there, of course. I think they also have a consortium with some private vendors. Many of our leading Indian companies, including L&T, are there. The best part about that robust response is that many of them are a combination of public and private sector companies. And I've always maintained that India has to create this hybrid pipeline of public and private sector capacity, combining some of the incumbency advantages and the sunk capital and engineering manpower that the PSUs have with some of the efficiencies that the private sector brings in. And that process you will see emerge out of some of these programs that I mentioned. AMCA is one. The male category drones is another. Even some of our small arms orders that are currently underway, in many of them you will see a mix of public and private companies getting orders as L1 and L2. So that is the kind of landscape that I want to see, where you have contracts spread out across the industry to a mix of public and private companies competing with each other, sometimes collaborating with each other, and ensuring that our delivery milestones are met much better than they are being met right now.
Mr. Ramchandani, L&T recently entered into a strategic pact with US-based Atomics Aeronautics system for manufacture of unmanned aircraft systems for the Indian Army. How will this advance self-reliance in aerospace technologies?
And sir, added to this, you are tying up with an American company. Do you think you would be, how long will it take for L&T as a company to be able to produce similar category aircraft or a higher capability aircraft? How long will it take for you, sir?
So traditionally, we relied a lot on building our own products through our R&D. We see an acceleration in the procurement which is happening. And when we looked at, General Atomics is already supplying HAL aircrafts to India. And when we saw that there is going to be a large-scale procurement of male aircrafts, we realized that in the time frame, if we went back to the drawing board and tried to create an aircraft ab initio, it might be a tall order. So we were quite open to looking at partnerships to address this opportunity. And what better than General Atomics, who already has the Predator, in service in the Indian forces. And the only thing when we talked to them, we said that, look, number one, we will have to be competitive on price, because Indian procurement at the end of the day still values the lowest bidder. And number two, that like I said earlier, we're not looking at just licensed technology. We are looking at an openness to integrate Indian systems onto the aircraft, to adapt the aircraft for the Indian requirements, swap modules with indigenized or other modules. And they had an openness to that. which then gave us an opportunity to really look at how do we design for cost, how do we design for purpose, how do we, we're not just bringing a product and saying we'll license, produce it here. We will bring a product and make it suitable for the Indian requirements, and that has many dimensions, from cost to performance to, security and all of that. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to see how this works. The US, all that said, the US does have tight regulations on technology export, and we'll have to navigate through that. But I see an openness on both sides to do it. We've taken a plunge. We thought this is the right thing to do at this point in time, and I hope we will succeed.
Thank you. Before I go on to the audience, I have one question on drone warfare. Everybody is talking about that. Marshal, I want to ask you about the training program for young officers on these modern warfare techniques. And, sorry, a related question is that will the private sector also have to install these anti-drone equipment soon? Because we're reading reports that ports and airports and metro installations, they will need anti-drone mechanisms. Is the private sector also, I'd like to ask you both, is the private sector also working towards this to see that, we see this in hotels, in theaters, shopping malls? Would we need to do, is that what we're looking at in the future?
And sir, to Defense Secretary sir and Dixit sir, sir, we saw that Asim Munir gave an open threat to the Jamnagar refinery of Reliance. So now do we see a situation where all the big installations, industry people, they install their own systems? Who will man them? Is the government working in that direction, sir?
So this is related to air defense, basically. Right. So in air defense, there is already a MHA directive is there. So for small drones, which are originating within the country, okay, small. So like you have a theater, you have a stadium, or you have a airport. So the drones come. It is more and to create nuisance and maybe later on some damage. So for that, they will have to install their own, but something which is coming from across the border. For that we are responsible, and we are, armed forces are responsible. We are creating counter-US grids, and we are creating integrated air defense systems, so that we will fully handle, and work is happening on that regard. Now in future warfare, these small systems which are attritable also will be used, and high performance systems, high cost systems also will be used. So there will be full spectrum. These small systems, low cost systems will create confusion, will create decision dilemma, nuisance value, all that. But they will not be able to decide the course of war. That is what we feel at this stage. If some new technology comes up after 5 years, then we will change our opinion. But today, this is our opinion. But they are required to create multiple confusion in enemy's mind and in his cognition. So I think people will have to install anti-drone systems which are against drones which create nuisance, actually. People are doing it, and I think that is the
internal disturbance is what you're talking
about. Yes, internal disturbances.
Right. And to the private sector also, I'd like to ask this question. Are they coming up in the private sector, anti-drone technology? And how soon and should the private enterprises look at it, that we will need these soon?
No, so, we've been tracking what's happening in Sindoor and, what's happening around the world. And clearly air defense is something that we are invested into. So we, for example, make close-in weapon systems for the Air Force, which is a last level of defense against low-flying aircrafts or missiles or drones for that matter. And we are investing in a lot of counter-drone technology. Counter-drone technology varies from the very simple, just jamming and spoofing, to more advanced hard kill mechanisms and all that, and we are looking at it. Now, if you are asking are we also investing into it to protect our infrastructure, maybe not yet, but I suppose we are alive to all these threats, and we will have to do what is necessary. How that mechanism works, whether it's through a government-run shield or it is something that we have to invest into, I suppose these doctrines will evolve and we will respond to it.
The Defence Secretary.
So the Prime Minister already has announced on Independence Day what he calls the Sudarshan Chakra mission, and that is meant to combine both air defense with offensive capabilities. Work has started on essentially adding value to the multi-layered air defense system that we already have with more modern technologies. That will take some time, and it will involve a mix of Make in India programs, imports, as well as entirely IDDM type of programs. Whether the private sector can be roped in to provide resources in certain critical areas like Jamnagar, that's something we've really not thought about. Actually, as Marshal Dixit said, this is really the sovereign responsibility of the government, and we should take that responsibility ourselves. I think we have a committee under the chairman DRDO and under the co-chairmanship of Marshal Dixit to look at preparing some kind of a DPR or at least a feasibility report of what we can do when it comes to this mission that the Honorable Prime Minister has already announced. Obviously, that's going to be a priority for us in the future, and we will ensure that it is fully funded from the CapEx point of view to ensure that India as a whole, all critical infrastructure, population centers, etc., are fully protected in a reasonably time-bound manner.
I think I'll go to the audience. Anybody, you can raise your hands if you have questions. Yeah, I can see there. Somebody. Nidhi, can you hand over the mic? Yeah. Till they get ready, one question about HAL. What is HAL building today that we will see flying in the next 5 or 6 years?
We're building a UCAV, which is called the CATS Warrior. It's a combat air teaming system, manned, unmanned teaming. So this is going to be a wingman for the manned aircraft. So that's something which we're working on, which will fly.
When?
It will be ready by next year, and in 27 we expect it to fly. We have integrated the engines, and now we are working on the data links, and we're also parallelly testing it on the Kiran aircraft. Okay. So it will start coming up. We're also working on the UHM, which is the utility helicopter for the deck-based version. That should also be, it'll start flying this year, and in 2 years we'll be delivering that. And of course the future, the IMRH, which is a 13-ton helicopter, which is slightly longer term, which will come into service the next decade. But the program has started, and we're building that helicopter now.
All right. Question?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for doing this, sir. I'm Ayush Agrawal. I cover foreign affairs for ANI. My question is for the Defense Secretary, sir. So as we know that during the first week of December, India will be hosting Russian President Vladimir Putin for the 23rd India-Russia Summit. We know with Russia we have had a great defense relationship. Could you outline what can we anticipate in terms of defense cooperation? Any major deals in the pipeline, as there were reports that India is also seeking to acquire more S-400s. So if you could share some details, sir. Thank you.
I don't want to talk about specific procurement decisions. That is essentially, in a sense, giving advance warning of what have to be cabinet decisions. So I'm not going to talk about specific platforms, but we have a very large defense program with them, including the existing S-400 contracts, which are delayed, but which they've now promised to deliver the balance 2 batteries in the in the coming financial year. There are a bunch of other programs where there are delivery milestone delays, which we will take up with them and try to sort of expedite those, including and there are other major programs such as the Sukhoi upgradation, potentially S-400 additional is not ruled out, but you don't expect any announcements during this meeting. The meeting will focus on the broader elements of institutional cooperation on defense between the two sides, and we'll try to ensure that some of these delivery delays are ended and we start getting clearer answers in terms of when some of these delayed deliveries take place.
Any other question? Yes, go ahead.
Good morning, sir. Myself, Sachin Gupta, I'm an entrepreneur. So I made a summary of some of the discussion points, and we are discussing that multiple integrated theaters are now happening. Across the world, we are seeing asymmetric advantages being taken. Like in Russia war, they pulled away all the payment gateways, internet systems, everything. In Israel, they are using pager attacks. They are saying all phones, everything have access to Israel. Now, US has launched Genesis mission, which is now further pushing it into sci-fi territory, which is they are integrating space, AI, hardware, software, energy, fusion, nuclear, bio, everything. So, is this moving into sci-fi world faster at a higher rate, or is this something still that is more propaganda?
Interesting. Marshal, would you like to take that?
Okay, so the possibilities in the domain of cyber and space and also electronic warfare are limitless actually, because this is the domain where borders don't exist. There are no well drafted rules of engagement, and it is only your ingenuity which will work. So certainly we have realized that, and we had realized actually some time back, so about 4 or 5 years back we had set up cyber agency, defense space agency, and now time has come to expand further these capabilities. And other thing is, these things cannot happen by only one department. So for this whole of nation approach has to happen, and that also government has considered, and that also is happening, but I am not at liberty to speak too much about that. But yes, this has been realized, and because of this is another reason we keep saying that yes, we have to become integrated. So integration is at, one is that Army, Navy, Air Force and these domains, and the second level of integration which will happen is at national level. So that is what whatever you're saying we should be able to achieve in next I think 5-6 years. We should be able to do that.
Yeah, it's a related question, but I asked you this, Mr. Ramchandani, is the same thing, that this changing warfare dynamics that was asked about, it's multi-pronged. Do we have the workforce to understand the threat levels, the threat perception, and how to combat it? Do we have the workforce, trained workforce, skilled workforce?
So skilling is a common challenge, and we need to keep upskilling the workforce. But I think beyond workforce, when we are looking at the evolution of war and the induction of technology into warfare, I think what is required is the ability to innovate and research into the application of technology into warfare. And one of the good things that the government has done is to announce this deep tech fund of 1 lakh crore, where they are saying that, look, we are going to set up a funding mechanism of AIFs which will fund deep tech in industry, for example. So let's say we want to invest into application of quantum communication or something like that, and as a private industry we don't have the wherewithal to make that kind of investment, or we don't see returns quick enough, or there are risks with that investment because the technology is nascent, then creating a funding mechanism to support this kind of R&D, I think, is very important. We have, of course, the IDEX programs and all that, which again, encourage innovators to bring in tech into warfare and to create asymmetry from innovation. And I think that's an ecosystem that we have to encourage. And, a lot can be done in that area if we can crowdsource the innovation of the average Indian and make them look at deep tech in a bigger way. Then I think we've won the battle, and
that's a very interesting concept. I think we need a session on just that, on crowdsourcing. Defense Secretary, are we looking at that too?
I think the IDEX program actually does just that. And many of these services also have followed that hackathon type of model where they float a problem statement from the services and then try to get people to solve those problems, build prototypes, and then fund some of it. What we could do in the future in terms of encouraging that ecosystem further is to give them a further assurance in terms of orders. Right now, the sort of funding kind of stops at the prototype level, and thereafter they're on their own. And obviously some don't survive given the lack of funding and orders, because many of them are either bootstrapped or they've not been able to get enough funding. So those are the things that we've taken care of to some extent in the revised defense procurement manual. For revenue procurement, we've actually put in a clause which says that if you've developed, say, a particular type of munition specifically for a service, then you have an assured period of about 5 years during which you will get those orders. Something similar we will do in the DAP process, because at the end of the day, funding the prototype is not enough. You will have to combine that with an assured procurement program to enable him to do a spiral development kind of a thing, so that he's able to sustain his model or his business model thereafter. That is the way we will take this forward.
Thank you, gentlemen. I don't think we have time. Do we have time for another question? No, okay. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for spending the time here and demystifying concepts for us. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
We are taking a short break of 15 minutes. We'll be back by 11 here. Tea is being served right outside. Please have it. Thank you. Thank you.